baseball fans. You're watching On Deck with Tyler Redmond.
You don't need me to tell you this, but I'm going to tell you anyway. The NL East is over. That's right, it's a wrap.
Welcome into On Deck. I had to do it, guys. The NL East is indeed over. The Braves win it tonight over the Philadelphia Phillies. And boy, I'll tell you, I thought going into this series, this may be the end. This really may be where the Braves just go on and take the NL East. They've been powering through everybody all year long. And sure enough, they take 3 of 4 in Philadelphia, nonetheless. And they are able to take the NL East. So they are secure in their spot in the postseason. Of course, home field advantage is still at play with who gets the best record in baseball. But it's still, what a night. This is the 6th consecutive year that the Braves have been NL East champs. And, you know, it's a good feeling. Of course, it wasn't that long ago, in the grand scheme of things anyway, that the Braves went on for 14 straight division titles. I hope we are in the midst of a run like that. I hope this is just the beginning, that this dynasty is not for the next 5 years. I hope it's for the next 10. And the way the Braves have built themselves, I believe that they very well may be on that path. But there's a lot to talk about tonight. Of course, the Braves winning the NL East is the biggest topic, and I wanted to start off with that because, again, what an accomplishment, right? Not only for the players, not only for the manager, Brian Snitker, who I believe, as Brandon Gowden said earlier tonight, should get some votes for the National League Manager of the Year, and I believe he will. He very well may win it. This is also a big, accomplishment for the front office because of how many players we've seen come through just pitching by themselves. How many guys we've seen start. The numbers are astronomical. So from the top to the bottom of this organization, this is quite the accomplishment. And they're not done winning. The Braves right now, I believe, sit at 96 wins. And they have 4 till they reach 100. So for those of you counting, wondering, hey, could the Braves possibly get to 100 wins? You bet they can. Could they possibly break more records and maybe get to the most wins in Braves history? I believe so. Right now, Matt Olson has more homers than the Braves have losses. They have 50 losses. Matt Olson, of course, has 51 homers, tying Andrew Jones yesterday. And, that's an accomplishment in itself. He won't pat himself on the back, but I certainly will. What an accomplishment that is. I mean, he gets one more. He has the most for any Brave of all time in a single season. That says a lot. And this is only his second year in an Atlanta Braves uniform. So congrats to Matt Olson. The other guy we got to talk about, Ronald Acuna Jr. We have a lot to talk about with Acuna tonight. Number one, do I think the Braves should celebrate like they do? We'll talk about that in a minute. But I really wanted to focus on Acuna. Who do I think the MVP should be? I don't think it's a question anymore. I think the debate with Mookie is over. The guy's like, oh, I need 40 homers to be the first 40-70 guy? Okay, I'm going to start hitting them. And I think he's at, number 37 right now? I think we're at that point. So, yeah, Ronald Acuna Jr. to me is the MVP. I don't think it's a question. I think he will get it. If he doesn't get it, I think they picked the wrong guy. Ronald Acuna Jr., we've talked about it extensively on this channel. You guys have talked about it extensively in the comments section, which I hope you'll continue to do. But no, Ronald Acuna Jr. is doing something that, number one, 30-60 had never been done before. But he's doing things that we've never seen on a baseball field. The steroid era didn't have one guy do what Ronald Acuna Jr. is doing. And that doesn't happen every day. It just doesn't. And I hope that he gets credited with the MVP. And I hope, bigger than that, I hope we see this Acuna in the postseason. I hope this doesn't stop in September. I hope it carries through October. And beyond that, I hope this is the Acuna we can expect for years to come, because if so, he's undoubtedly going to the Hall of Fame. A lot of people were hesitant a few years ago. They didn't know where his career was going to go, especially after the ACL tear back in 2020. You didn't know where he was going to go. And to be honest with you, there was a couple years there where Acuna, wasn't this out-of-body experience that we've seen this season. And I'm glad that he's flipped that around. I'm glad that he's back to being who he's meant to be, the player we thought he would be. And, there's not a better player in the game. It's simply put, there is not a better player in the game. If you had one overall pick to start a new team right now with everybody across Major League Baseball, Ronald Acuna Jr. is it for me. I think he's the MVP. I don't think it's close. I hope Major League Baseball has some sense and credits him as the MVP. But beyond that, this is a team game. And I hope that the Braves keep on with what they're doing into the postseason. We matched up with the Phillies this week. We took the division from the Phillies. I hope that if we match up in the postseason, it won't be like last year. It'll be closer to what it's been all year long. Now, the other thing I wanted to talk about, and this kind of has something to do with Ronald Acuna Jr., he made some headlines yesterday, not for any necessarily particularly good reason, through no fault of his own, by the way. It's, of course, what the Phillies had to say about his celebrations, Ozuna's celebrations, whatever they were talking about. This is what I'll say. It was from manager Rob Thompson and starting pitcher yesterday, Zach Wheeler, who got rocked. They did not appreciate the celebrations from Acuna or really the Braves in general. And it's that same tired argument of, I'm old school. This isn't how I was raised in the game. Here's the thing. You have to adapt. That's my thought on it. We are past that conversation. The let the kids play whole campaign was like 5-6 years ago. We should not still be talking about if celebrating is okay. We shouldn't be talking about if hitting a grand slam on a 3-0 count is okay. We're past that. So to sit here and drum up that argument when your team is 17 games back in the division, I think is just trying to grab headlines. I thought it was unfortunate. I hope that, they think better of it, especially considering, and I'm not the first to bring this up, but I will be the next, especially considering that Rhys Hoskins absolutely torched his bat into the ground last season when he homered off the Braves in the postseason. You didn't hear me complain about it. You didn't hear Braves fans as a whole complain about it because we understand. That's an emotional moment. And for me, watching Ronald Acuna Jr. have a historic season, and frankly, the Braves have a historic season and play out of their minds, I think they've earned the right to celebrate. And, I think we've passed the conversation of letting the kids play. Is it okay to celebrate? I don't care to talk about it. Who cares? If you don't like it, I think you kind of have to eat it. If you don't like it, pitch better. Hit better. Whatever the case may be. No one can deny what this team has done on the baseball field. No one. Not from a analytical point of view. You can certainly try to pick and pry, little things about celebrating or whatever the case may be. I'm not buying it. And I don't know if you guys caught it at the end of the game. The Boo Birds were out. Of course they were. It was Philadelphia. But the Boo Birds were indeed in the park, and they were booing the team relentlessly. And Ronald Acuna Jr. just sat in the open, eating it up, waving to the fans. Of course, the fans of Philadelphia. So, for me, I think it's time to move past to let the kids play. That campaign, I hate to say it for you old school guys, I'll be honest with you. I can appreciate someone like Matt Olson who homers, puts his head down and rounds the bases. Chipper Jones was like that. There were very few moments where you saw emotion. I can appreciate that. But at the same time, look at the NBA. Look at the NFL. Emotion is going to show. And I thought it was unfortunate that this made as many headlines as it did, considering Acuna is likely going to be the most valuable player for the National League, especially Zach Wheeler asking who Acuna was. I thought that was kind of disrespectful. I thought that was unfortunate. I hope the Philadelphia Phillies, figure out where they want to go from here concerning that. Let's go ahead and turn it back to baseball. Let's get off the drama. Let's talk about the Braves going forward. Of course, they sit at 96 wins, likely going to hit 100 wins, could potentially do more than that. But they also could pump the brakes. And what I mean by that is they've kind of done what their first goal was. Snitker mentioned checking boxes off, the first being the division. They've done that. they can kind of pump the brakes. They can rest their guys. There's articles finally now coming out about how these guys have played every day. Austin Riley was trying to go for 162, catches an illness overnight. He's out for 2 games. I believe Snicker forced Acuna to rest the other day, and basically the rest consisted of not playing right field. We're going to DH you, right? And I think that is going to be more of a common occurrence now that the division is settled. Not that it was a question whether or not the Braves were going to do it before now. I thought it was pretty clear they were going to do that. And I'm not saying the Braves are going to take their foot off the gas. I don't think that at all. I think where they're at the moment is in a place where they can afford to, hey, Ozzie, maybe you don't need to play today. Let's rest you. Let's get you ready for the postseason, that kind of thing. You want to keep them in routine, but you don't want them to be, pedal to the metal all the way up till, the NLDS. You don't want that. I think they rest them. And the place that I think they rest the most right now is the bullpen. And I told you guys at the trade deadline, I told you guys even in preseason, if I had one question mark for this team, it wasn't the offense, it wasn't the defense, it wasn't the starting pitching, it was the bullpen. And I still feel that way. I felt that way at the trade deadline. I told you I thought they should, possibly go out and get Josh Hader. I kind of still wish they did. They did go out, they did address it at the trade deadline by acquiring Brad Hand, who we saw tonight. But I still think that is our one area of uncertainty. And the bullpen is a very important commodity come postseason. I'm sure you guys are well aware of that. You remember 2021. You remember Luke Jackson getting into trouble and Tyler Matzik coming out. You remember how big of a deal it was that Will Smith was one of the most clutch relievers we've ever seen in a postseason. You guys remember all of that. And I look forward to this postseason, and I can't help but worry about our bullpen. And over the past few nights, it's become more and more worrisome because the Phillies are a postseason team. Even if they potentially don't make it, which I think they definitely will at this point, even if they don't make it, but again, they will. If we were to match up with them, would you be comfortable with Raisel Iglesias facing Bryce Harper, especially when John Boy pointed this out, by the way, not me, 4 of the last 5 at-bats between Raisel Iglesias and Bryce Harper have ended in Bryce Harper homer, right, including the other night. Would you be comfortable with Raisel Iglesias closing out a game that we're up by 1 with Bryce Harper coming up to bat second? I don't know that I would right now. Now, that's what the postseason's for, is to settle that kind of thing and to see who shines the brightest on the biggest stage. And I'm all for the drama and the event of it and all that. But I would be slightly uncomfortable. And I know you guys are thinking, well, Tyler, we just won the division. Can we just celebrate for a second? I'm with you. I'm all happy about it. But at the same time, I'm here to address the actual facts and what I am concerned with heading into the postseason. And right now, the bullpen concerns me. We saw Kirby Yates come out tonight. He pitched well. Brad Hand, I believe, pitched well. The Braves, all in all, today pitched fairly well. And today's not what I'm talking about. And you may be asking, Tyler, where are you going with this? Raisel Iglesias was the reliever of the month in August, according to Major League Baseball. And in September, he hasn't quite looked as dominant. I think there would be nothing wrong with resting him at this point. And we saw tonight, he probably needed a night off, so they brought out Kirby Yates. I definitely think we're going to see more of that. And some of you guys are going to be out there and you're going to say, Tyler, I want to get to 100 X amount of wins. Let's push it. Let's keep the gas on. I'm sorry, I don't feel that way. I think this Braves team is one of the best teams ever assembled in Atlanta. I firmly believe that. I don't need a regular season number of wins over whoever to prove that. And to be honest with you, I think the Braves kind of feel the same way. I don't think they view it that way. They want to make it to the postseason. They want to get there, and they want to strive in the postseason. That's what this year is about. Now, do they want home field advantage? You bet. But I believe this Braves team can also win without these A-plus players, right? And I'm not talking about everybody. You're going to see most of these guys play every day. I think you'll see Ronald Acuna most days, Ozzie Albies most days, Riley, Olson. You'll see those guys most days. I think, you'll probably see d'Arnaud a little more now that the division's clinched. And especially late in the season, I think they'll want to keep Sean Murphy healthy to catch every game in the postseason, similar to how d'Arnaud did back in 2021 during the World Series campaign. If you don't remember, d'Arnaud caught every game of the DS, every game of the CS, and every game of the World Series as well. If they want to do that with Sean Murphy, they may play d'Arnaud more going forward. Just to keep his legs healthy, keep him healthy, maybe let him focus on hitting a little more, that kind of thing. They may not. They may just say, nope, we're going to keep it like we have it. I don't know where we go from here. I think you may see some more younger pitchers throw. Maybe get a chance out of the pen. Jared Schuster was recalled earlier today. We've seen action like that. Darius Vines. There's a lot of guys that I think we forget about. A.J. Smith-Shawver is one that I think tends to be in the back of your mind. You don't really think about as an actual weapon. Of course, we all know Michael Soroka is done for the season, but there's a lot of pitchers in the organization that may get work. And one of those, and I'm just going to throw this out here, being that the Braves have already, clinched, Kyle Wright could afford a couple more starts. And I know he didn't have the best day the other day. I don't think they sent him down. He seemed to have found something after the first inning. But I think if you want him to pitch in the postseason, now's the time. You guys have clinched the division. You don't have to win necessarily through the remainder of the year. If you want to delegate that, if you want to see what you got in him for the postseason, that's what this time of the year is for if you're the Atlanta Braves. And I definitely think they very well may take the time to do that. But like I said, I think there are more pitchers that they could turn to. Maybe Darius Vines is a reliever by postseason time, right? You might be saying, no, Tyler, we're not going to put him in the bullpen for the postseason. Max Fried did it. Tucker Davidson did it. He started a game in the postseason in 2021. He started World Series Game 5, if I'm not mistaken. So I definitely think there's ways this can go that will be unexpected to some of us. But I hope that the Braves, again, kind of push on the brakes. You hate to say that. If everybody was healthy and still rolling, you don't want to get off of it. But at the same time, you want to make sure that your guys are lined up for the postseason. And I definitely think that's what they'll do. The other thing I wanted to mention, Jesse Chavez is on his way back. And some of you may be asking, well, Tyler, will Jesse make the postseason roster? And I did a semi-breakdown of what I thought the postseason roster would look like the other day. And to be honest with you, I didn't take into consideration the fact that Jesse Chavez would be coming back. I don't know on the top of my head. I think it depends on how he's pitching when he gets back, right? Because I'm not just going to say, yeah, Jesse Chavez is a given when, frankly, he's not our best reliever from the get-go. But beyond that, is he healthy enough to pitch after his injury? Is he ready to go? I think if he's healthy, if he's pitching to the level of where he needs to be, sure, he'll make the roster. I think he's a big part of the pen. I think he's a big part of the Atlanta Braves culture. And I think they're going to want him at least around for the postseason. Will he pitch or not? Yet to be seen. We don't know. Will anybody pitch? We don't know who will pitch. We don't even know if Kyle Wright will pitch. We don't know things like that yet. But it'll be interesting to see over the next few weeks. Those are the things you have to watch. Who's healthy? Who can pitch that hasn't been around all year? Kyle Wright is one. Jesse Chavez is the other. And there's others out there. Again, we have such a wealth of pitchers right now, especially starters. The guys that we have at the major league level, Max Fried, Spencer Strider, Charlie Morton, Bryce Elder, those four every fifth day are solid. But that fifth spot, that fifth spot you don't necessarily need to fill for the postseason, but it sure would be nice if you had a solid guy to go to. And I think Kyle Wright very well may be that guy. And you need one start to knock the dust off. I think you got that. I think we're past that. But I definitely think there's more things to figure out over the next few weeks, and it'll be interesting to see where they go from here. With that said, I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in tonight. Really do appreciate it. While you're here, do me a favor, like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications so that you can stay up to date with everything going on here and on deck, and of course with your Atlanta Braves. Guys, we are so close to 5,000 subscribers, and I really appreciate you for that. I think we're right around 30 away from 5,000 subscribers. I know we'll get there before the end of the season, but what a night it would be if we got there tonight. So if you're watching this and you haven't subscribed, please do consider doing that. It takes one click of a button. And, of course, please do like the video. That really helps us get it out to bigger crowds and, of course, brings in viewership. It helps the channel, all that good stuff. And also, if you have a Braves friend that you're thinking, hey, they should be watching this, send it to them. Send them the link. Really would appreciate that as well. Also, please do like the video. That's the easiest thing you can do, like the video. Also, we do have an on-deck shop. If you want an on-deck piece of merchandise, we really would love to see you in it. Please do check out the QR code at the bottom left of your screen here in a minute. We have everything with an on-deck logo that you could possibly want. And if we see you repping this, you are officially one of our best friends. So please do consider doing that. You can also follow me on social media right over here at Tyler Redmond TV. Really would appreciate that. But remember, please do go shop on deck. With that out of the way, what we're going to do now is talk to you guys about whatever you guys want to talk about. So hit the comments section. We're going to start from the top. Remember, guys, super chats do get priority. They put you in the front of the line. It's just the way it goes. But I really do appreciate all you guys tuning in tonight. Please do consider subscribing. Let's see. We'll start with Jason, NL East champ, 6 years in a row. Yeah, you love to see it, right? You only need, let's see, what is it? 8 more to tie 14 straight? Hopefully they can do that. We'll see. On the go with CeeLo. Yes, sir. 30 more to go till 5K. Georgia Kid, 2023 NL East champ, 6 straight. Love it, love it, love it. Let's go ahead and skip down a little bit. What's going on, CeeLo? Nicholas says, we make it too easy. One of these days it will be challenging. Yeah, this year has just, I feel like it's flown by. I've only been to a few games. Usually I go to about 10 or 15. I've only been to like 2 or 3. I think 2. So I got to get going before the regular season's over with. But I plan to go to a few postseason games, if maybe at least one. I'll go to at least one. But yeah, it feels like this year's just flown by. I mean, maybe it's because the Braves are always winning. When it's challenging, it feels like it's an everyday struggle. Hasn't been that this year, and it's been nice. Let's see. I'm headed to Truist on Monday to start my new job as head retail consultant. You need to hit me up, head retail consultant. Yeah, I could use a place up there. Let's see. Charles Pruitt. Hi, Taylor. It's Tyler, Charles. Tyler. He says, hi, Tyler. Go Braves 2023 NL East champs. Appreciate that. Let's see. Yeah, I believe the division title shirts are going to sell out by Sunday night. Let's see. S. Lane says, jumped in with CeeLo, smashing the like for you, Tyler. You rock, thank you. CeeLo's stream was on fire. Clinching NL East with CeeLo fun. Hey, Tyler, not staying long. Well, thank you for tuning in for the time you did. I hope you're still here. That's S. Lane. Really do appreciate that. Matthew Brittingham says, Tyler, the Phillies manager says he doesn't like Ronald Acuna celebrating his last home run against him because he, quote, likes players who act like they've been there before. Thoughts on the shade? Well, I kind of gave him earlier. I guess I'll elaborate because you brought up, the quote, likes players who act like they've been there before. There is something to that. There is something to, having someone who comes in and acts like they've been there before. I think Olson does a great job with that. I think, some of our players, that's their personality, not always. And that is what it is. It's all about your personality. I've met Matt Olson, okay? Matt Olson doesn't bring a lot of attention to himself. If you go watch our interview, he is very humble. That's just who he is. And, again, there's something to be said for that. There's something to like about that. But there's also something to like about the guy that comes in and just dominates. And frankly, that's Ronald Acuna. And it's also Matt Olson. It's just 2 different styles. So in terms of the act like you've been there before, who has been where Ronald Acuna Jr. has been in the history of baseball? 30, 60. He's working on 40, 70. Who's been there? That would be my question for Rob Thompson. And I would also ask, hey, what about Rhys Hoskins last year? That would be my question. So if you're going to show up and you're going to talk about, if you're going to show up and you're going to talk about another team, I feel like you have to look within. Again, I'm not saying what Rhys Hoskins did was wrong. I'm not saying that at all. If Ronald Acuna Jr. is to bat flip after hitting a walk-off in the postseason or a big homer in the postseason, I'm not going to be the one that just criticized another team for doing it because, I'm not going to do that. That is an emotional moment. Imagine you wanting to play baseball for your whole life growing up. Now you're in the big leagues and your team's in the postseason and you just hit a 3-run bomb to take the lead. I don't know about you, but I would react very similar to how Rhys Hoskins acted. I would act very similar to how Acuna is acting. I think what Acuna is doing is embracing every minute of the success he's having. I don't have a problem with it. If Rob Thompson has a problem with it, I again think he needs to take another look within. And to be honest with you, I think he's gotten enough criticism over the past few days to make maybe, I hope, kind of realize what he's saying. But yeah, I don't get it. I'm not going to sit here and just listen to that and not say anything. But, we'll see, what happens from here, I hope that if he goes to the postseason or if he hits a walk-off or something, they all just, give whoever hit it the silent treatment and walk back in the clubhouse. I hope there's no champagne party. I hope, I hope they don't have any fun doing it. Because I just don't understand how you can play the game. Keep in mind, it's a game. No matter how serious we take it, which I take it very serious, it is a baseball game. It's supposed to be fun for the players, for the fans, for the coaches. It's supposed to be fun. So that would be my advice to Rob Thompson. But I don't know Rob Thompson. Maverick has a super chat. Really appreciate that. Remember, super chats do get your priority. They move you to the front of the line. And Maverick, you're at the front of the line. Strider needs a fourth pitch. Wright's back. Darius Vine should be in relief. Congrats to almost 5K. I'm at 1.7 subs on my channel, 2023 East Champs. You packed a lot into that super chat, but you're getting your money's worth. I don't blame you. Yeah, Strider needing a fourth pitch, maybe. I don't feel like that's something he can really do now. I think that's more of an off-season project. But I think he's also been very dominant with what he has. If he adds a fourth pitch, it's just one more thing he can turn to. I don't disagree with you. I'll be honest with you, I'm not a pitching expert. I wish I had Leo Mazzoni on speed dial where I could just call him up and ask him what he thought about it. I think the more pitches you have, obviously the more weapons you have. But again, he's been very dominant this year with what he's got, the fastball, slider, and the occasional changeup. I think, maybe he can move his fastball differently. I don't know. But, yeah, I'm not opposed to it. I'll put it that way. Darius Vine should be in relief. I think that's a postseason topic. Should he be in relief right now? I don't know. And to be honest with you, the typical reliever doesn't really favor what Darius Vines does. Darius Vines doesn't blow you away with speed. He gets a lot of contact, just not hard contact. Very similar to Michael Soroka in that regard. Although Soroka does throw slightly harder these days. But that's the game he gives me, the sinker baller, that kind of thing. He avoids hard contact. That's why he thrived in Coors Field, because he avoided it. But I don't know if I want him coming in the 7th, 8th inning. I hate to say that, I just don't know. Could he be long relief? Sure. He could be a Michael Tonkin. I'll tell you one guy that I was happy to see back was Jackson Stevens the other day. I don't know if you guys saw that, but he pitched, I think, 3 2/3 the other day. That's the kind of thing I see Darius Vines doing, at least this year. I think he's a future starter, but at least this year, that's the kind of appearances I think he could have in the postseason. If someone was to get hurt, you heard me knock. If someone was to get hurt, then I think, he could potentially step in, much like A.J. Smith-Shawver or, Kyle Wright. We'll see where that goes. But I think there's a lot of guys that we have like that are just on the brink of getting into the rotation that could find a spot pending something happening. That's why I'm also not really for pushing everything we got. I think from now until, whenever the NLDS starts, we're kind of just experimenting. We're seeing who we got and what places that we can, maybe effectively use in the postseason. So, like you said, I think that I really appreciate the super chat, number one. Thank you, Maverick. But, yeah, with all of what the Braves pitching has right now, there's a lot for them to figure out come, I guess the next series, the next game, wherever we go from here. But I think ultimately course, we take on the Marlins, then the Phillies again, which, man, how depleted are the Phillies going to feel when they walk into Truist Park knowing that the division is won? I think ultimately we're at a point where, again, I think the Braves can afford to focus a little less on the regular season and focus more on the postseason, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's the complete opposite of where they were last year. Last year, they had their full focus on the regular season, and that's because they started the year out slow. The Mets started out fast. They got a bunch of wins. We were 10.5 games back. You all remember. And, they had to force it all the way up until the end just to, win the division. And they would have made the postseason either way. They would have had to face the Padres, I believe, had they lost the division. But they focused so much on winning the division that I've said this before. They won't say it. Snitker won't say it. The players won't say it. Alex Anthopoulos won't say it. But they were gassed. That's what it looked like to me. And I think that's because they expended all of their resources into that regular season win, which, as exciting as it was, wouldn't it have felt better if they had lost the division? And I'm not questioning the strategy here. I definitely think the division needed to be won. But wouldn't it have felt better if they had lost the division, beat the Padres, then beat the Mets, then carried on to the World Series? I think it would have felt better. But at the same time, it sure felt good to beat the Mets. So I think ultimately this year they have an opportunity to where they don't have to focus on the regular season. They don't have to chase down that team that's in front of them. They're the team, and it's already won. It's already a given. So they have, 3-4 weeks where they can afford to kind of practice and, not expend all their resources, which I think could play to be a big factor come postseason time. I certainly hope so. Guys, remember to hit that like button. Subscribe if you can. Really would appreciate it, especially if you're a new listener. We're that close to 5,000 subs, and you guys are the reason why. So please do consider subscribing. Really would appreciate it. 5,000 subs was actually the goal we had going into this season, was to get to 5,000 subs. I want to say we were right around 3,000 at the beginning of the season. So 5,000 was a fair, if we can get to 6, that'd be awesome, but I'm not holding you there. Let's just focus on 5 for now. But yeah, really would appreciate the likes, the subscriptions, hitting the bell for notifications, all that good stuff. Remember, super chats do get your priority, all that good stuff. So thank you guys again for tuning in. Let's go ahead and jump back into the chat. Let's find Oren Griswold says, based on the way we played against LA and Philadelphia on the road, I'm not worried about winning the National League pennant anymore unless something drastic changes. Well, remember, postseason play is always different. And I say different, it's magnified. When you go to the park in the postseason, when I went in 2021, I went a lot in 2021. And that's not me bragging, that's just me telling you. I went a lot during the regular season, and I went 3 times in the postseason. In the regular season, just as a fan, just think about it. You're kind of, talking to people that you know, or maybe just people around you. You're not really focused on the game. When it's postseason time, every play, everybody's glued in. From the players to the fans to the broadcasters to the manager, everybody is locked in every minute. And rightfully so. It's the playoffs. That's what it's supposed to be. Everything is also magnified. Think about 2021 when we faced the Dodgers. I remember being at the park, getting the notification telling me that Max Scherzer couldn't pitch that night. And I remember going, what? Because that was such an advantage because the Dodgers had to start the series with a bullpen game. And from that point on, every guy that came in, I'm looking up players' batting averages against each other, that kind of thing. Everything is magnified. So am I worried about it? No. Do I worry about the bullpen? Yes, I do. Because I know going into this series that our bullpen is the Achilles heel. And other years, I didn't feel like we had one. In 2021, I was sure about our bullpen. And a lot of folks weren't. I get that. We had Luke Jackson, who struggled at times. A very nice guy that we've interviewed him on the channel actually about the 2021 NLCS, the Tyler Matzik coming in and saving him. We've interviewed him. So everything is magnified. And, any little problem you have could be magnified. That's why the other day we were talking about postseason rosters, and I mentioned Forrest Wall, that I think he could potentially be on the postseason roster purely for his speed, because one stolen base could mean the difference in winning a game or losing a game. And if you don't believe me, look at Ronald Acuna Jr. So that would be my take on it. So yeah, Oren, I'm not worried, but I definitely would tell you, don't be so sure based on the regular season that that's how it's going to go in the postseason. I just wouldn't be that confident. Now, you have every reason to be confident in this Braves team. They have proven time and time again, even through the struggles, they were going to be locked down. They were going to win. I mean, think about how many wins they've gotten without Max Fried, without Kyle Wright, they've lost guys left and right. Jesse Chavez. They've lost guys for long periods of time that in any other season I think would have sunk it, right? I mean, think about how it felt when Ronald Acuna Jr. got hurt back in 2021. Of course, they went on to win the World Series. But in that moment, when you found out, oh, Acuna's hurt, this season's done. I don't care who they get. This season's done. Of course, we all know what happened from there. Again, really do appreciate all you guys tuning in tonight. We got another super chat from who else other than Maverick. Tyler, it's Maverick. Oh, we all need to meet up. Me, you, and CeeLo, huh? Be the three amigos. What do you say, Tyler and CeeLo? I'm down for it. Waiting for the mod status here. Okay, hang on. You're now a moderator. I hope you're happy. Let's see. Okay. I think you're a mod now. In terms of hanging out, I can't speak for CeeLo. I don't know when I get up to the park. I'm in Columbus. I'm not going to say no to you. But yeah, we just have to hook it up. You know how to contact me, Maverick, if you want to. CeeLo, if you're in the chat, hook up a date. We'll see what we can do. Remember, guys, do like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications so that you can stay up to date with everything going on here On Deck, and of course, with your Braves. And the Braves have a long road ahead. The postseason is no short road, but it sure does feel nice to just know where we stand at this point of the year, as opposed to, okay, we're 5 games back. Okay, we're 4 games back. Are we going to catch them? Oh, we got to play them in a 3-game series and win every game. Yeah, we don't have to deal with that this year. And man, is it nice. Let's go ahead. Let's see. Trying to find where I left off. Nicholas. It feels good knowing your team is in the playoffs, not like being in the Phillies who might not. Yeah, I think the Phillies still have a chance to potentially fall off. I think they'll make it. I haven't looked at, well, I guess I could. I haven't really looked at it lately because, frankly, I don't have to worry about it. The Braves don't really give me a reason to worry. They're not fighting for a wild card spot. They're just fighting to make it to the postseason in the way that they want to, and that's with the best record of baseball. Let's go ahead and look at if the postseason ended today. This is a simple Google search you can make. I do it all the time just to kind of keep me sane without having to do the math every day. Yeah, so right now your National League wild card would be the Phillies versus the Cubs. The Cubs are trying to fight to get the better spot, better seeding. The other side of the wild card for the National League would be the Brewers versus the Diamondbacks. Not real sure who the Braves would face in that bracket. I guess, no, they would face either the Brewers or the Diamondbacks as of right now, I believe. Don't quote me on that. I'd really have to see. No, let me see. Don't hang on. Let's make sure we get this right. I believe they would take on the winner of Cubs and Diamondbacks, or Brewers and Diamondbacks, I believe. I want to say that's the case. If someone wants to correct me on that way I don't waste time here, would appreciate it, but I think that is the case. No. Okay, so the Braves... Okay, this website is not the one I need. If anybody wants to look it up, let me know. I think the Braves would face either the Brewers or the Diamondbacks as of right now, but I can't quote you on that for sure. Let's see. Miguel says, hey, Tyler, I saw something positive on Yates. I like that he is carrying his confidence. My concern in playoffs are Iglesias and Jimenez. Well, we talked about this earlier. Of course, the bullpen worry. And I'm right there with you. I mean, I'm definitely worried. I didn't put Jimenez on the postseason bracket that I laid out the other day. Let me see. Yeah, so this was my pitcher postseason prediction. and a lot of folks, kind of disagreed with some. Some of them are obvious. Fried, Strider, Morton, Elder, they're obvious. Iglesias is obvious. He's been your closer all year. Minter, Dylan Lee, Kirby Yates, to me, they're all obvious. Pierce Johnson's had quite the turnaround since coming to the Braves. Brad Hand, I think you're going to take all your lefties. I would just be surprised if they left Hand off. The other three were the questions. You could leave a spot open here because to me, if Kyle Wright is healthy, Darius Vines doesn't make it. And the reason I say that is Michael Tonkin. I think you have to make the decision there. And we still have a month to go. It's all about who's hot at that moment. Does Darius Vines, has he earned it? I don't know. I don't really care about that. I care, can he affect the outcome? And I certainly think that right now, especially if Kyle Wright is not healthy and ready to go. As of right now, we really don't know. So I can sit here and tell you where I think the prediction is, but you got to make up your own mind. The left side to me that you're looking at right now, those are the obvious. Those are without a doubt going to make it. Some of you may disagree, but I'm telling you, any of those pending injury, any of those I would be surprised about. Now, the other thing to consider is, I didn't know Jesse Chavez was healthy. So that is something, to just take into consideration. But for right now, this is what I'm going with. And to me, again, if Kyle Wright is healthy, Darius Vines doesn't make it. And again, that's because of Tonkin. So you got to make a decision there. Does that leave a spot for Joe Jimenez? Does that leave a spot for Jesse Chavez? I don't know those answers. But right now, this is kind of where we are. I can't speak to what's going to happen over the next month, unfortunately. I wish I could, but that's my take on it at the moment. Again, really want to thank you guys for tuning in tonight. Maverick, thank you for the super chat again. Jonathan Collins, I see you there, buddy. Thank you for the super chat. Really do appreciate it. Guys, this channel runs on you, right? So your likes, your subscriptions, your super chats, they all support the channel. We really do appreciate it. I work my tail off getting these streams out to you, getting this content out to you. Also, lately, really want to make this announcement. I've told you once, but I'm going to tell you again. We've been doing more shorts. I don't know if you've seen them. We got a few on the channel. Feel free to take a break. Go take a watch at it. What we're doing is, and I explained this last week, but YouTube has done this thing where you can now link your long-form content to shorts, which is, for creators, phenomenal. Because now I can make a short of something I did a while ago and put it out there, and you guys get to relive it all again. Or I can expose it to new and broader audiences. So, for example, I interviewed Glenn Hubbard earlier this year, and if you're a Braves fan and you don't know who Glenn Hubbard is, you should. Longtime second baseman, later, I believe, a first base coach. One of the greatest guys I've ever talked to, gave me a super long interview. I don't know, you longtime fans will remember this, but in 1984, I thought it was 85, but it is 84, the Braves and the Padres got in a bit of a scuffle. One of the most famous baseball fights of all time. If you've never seen the footage of it, I really would highly suggest going to check out the John Boy breakdown. But I asked Glenn Hubbard about that fight, and he remembered it. Not only did he remember it, he gave me the story on it and gave me his take on it. And it became a really good short video. We got one on Bob Gibson. We got one from Ron Washington. I would really suggest check out the shorts. I mean, if you're on the channel, you see them. But it's just another reason to like this video and subscribe and support, because we're trying to get baseball content to you on a regular basis. And you guys make that happen. Again, that's how we keep this thing going. That's how we keep it rolling. You guys are the reason. So thank you again for all the super chats. Thank you for all the likes tonight. Thank you for the subscriptions. We're not going anywhere yet. I got a lot of questions to answer before I can go home. But we're getting there, and really just wanted to thank you. And again, we're only so many subscribers away from 5,000, I think less than 30. And again, you are the reason. So if you're out there and you're watching this and you like watching stuff about the Braves and you want to know more, all you got to do is press subscribe. We really would appreciate it. Let's go ahead and tune back in with the chat. Let's see. We'll go ahead and go to Scooter Puff. Can we talk a minute about Strider's performance tonight? Incredible how he came back in that first inning. Looked like he was going to be another shaky outing, but he completely stepped up. Here's what I'll say about it. Yeah, I'm right there with you because he hasn't been his best self lately, and I'm talking about Strider. One of my biggest concerns early on in the career of Strider, if you go back and find it somewhere deep in the archives of this channel, was the three pitches, the three-pitch, I guess, weaponry. He didn't have that many to go to. And I was a little worried about it, and really back then it was two pitches. He didn't throw that changeup very much at all, so it was really two pitches. And I remember I didn't think he was cut out to be a starter. I thought he'd be an elite reliever, which I still think one day he might be. But I didn't know that he had it cut out to be a starter. And, we're starting to see more shakiness lately. I think more teams have been able to kind of pick him apart because there's not a lot of options. You can kind of, all right, well, he just threw me two sliders. It's probably going to be a fastball. Or he just threw me two fastballs. It's probably going to be a slider. You can kind of put it together a little easier. And those nights, it happens like that. But I remember talking to Leo Mazzoni. And Leo Mazzoni spoke on, I asked him, could this guy be a starter? He goes, oh, yeah, he could be. He's got the stuff. He's got enough, ways to go about throwing those pitches. He can certainly do it. And ever since, I've looked at it in a completely new light because who am I, number one, to challenge one of the greatest pitching coaches of all time in Leo Mazzoni? That said, I definitely think sometimes he gets a little too predictable. And sometimes it doesn't move like it does for all pitchers. That happens. But I definitely think tonight, like you said, stepping back up, that's maturity. That's showing maturity. A couple weeks ago, they went to a shot in the dugout where he was talking to Kranitz about whether or not, he was going to go back out. And the decision was made by Snicker. And Strider wanted to keep going. He wanted to prove himself. But I think he's starting to realize it's not about these appearances. It's not about, frankly, it's not about a Cy Young award. It's not about your win-loss record. It's about having you in October. And I think tonight was a big step up. I think he's gaining maturity on the mound in more ways than one. And I think he's one of the best pitchers in baseball. When he's at his best, there's no one else I want on that mound. Not one. Let's see. Tyler, what did you think about the terrible bracket-style playoffs? Even if we win the number one seed, we are likely to end up with a tougher schedule than the number two seed. Number one seed should always get the easiest schedule. Okay, thank you for that, because that just answered my question. We're probably going to face, I believe, either the Brewers and Diamondbacks. If we ever get confirmation on that, I believe that is the case. So in terms of the tougher schedule, I mean, the postseason is built, and I'm not defending it. Please hear me out. I'm not defending it. The postseason is built with one outcome, to get to the best team, right? Who should be the World Series championship? Or who should be World Series champions? And I'm not going to sit here and say, well, okay, yeah, we didn't make it to the NLCS, but we would have won in the World Series. No, I don't believe that. I don't buy into that theory. I think if you lose in the NLDS, if you had made it to the World Series, you would have lost there because you're going to lose at some point, right? If you're not the best team at that moment, you're going to lose at some point. So do I think it's a little backwards? Sure. But at the same time, I'm not here to get us to a National League Championship Series. I want the Braves to win a World Series. And some folks are going to look at that and go, no, we want to get to the end. I get all of that. It would certainly, I get it. But at the same time, if we are the team that we have been all year long in the postseason, no one's going to beat us. No one. But we got to be that team. Pete Draper agreed that Rysel should have some rest. No argument, but we've got plenty of time to rest him. Agreed. I just wish we had gotten more at the trade deadline, and I will stick by that. I'm not one to question Alex Anthopoulos. I never do that. I certainly think that conversations were had. They talked. I just can't see us going into the trade deadline looking at our bullpen at that time going, oh yeah, we got plenty. I definitely think that they did more than try to get Brad Hand. I would just be surprised. I definitely think they at least inquired on Hader. If the price was too high, then the price was too high. I just wish that wasn't the case. And unfortunately, as of right now, that is. Elijah says, I just want to get in the playoffs healthy, especially the rotation. Last year against the Phillies, those games are over early with a hurt Strider, sick Fried, and not informed Morton. Agreed. I think it'll be a different set of circumstances this year. I think our starting rotation is going to be much better. I think from here, we find out who are our backup options, because that's what the rest of the season is about. I don't think it's about us trying to line up Strider for the National League Cy Young. I definitely think they'll keep pitching, but don't be surprised if you see more and more of a younger rotation. I see someone asked about Friday who's pitching. As of on the website, it says Bryce Elder. I don't see why that would change. I think Uncle Charlie CeeLo will pitch on Sunday, and this is all based on what I'm seeing on the website. Saturday is your open game. That's the one that's both TBD. I think you see Jared Schuster there because they just called him up. He's going to have an appearance at some point. I think it would just make sense, especially it's against the Marlins. I think that's a good, game for him to have a good matchup for him, to get him some confidence and that kind of thing. But I'm really curious about when is Kyle Wright going to be back on the mound. That's who I want to see pitch more and more. I've seen Strider. I know what he's going to do. I've seen Elder. I know what he's going to do. I want to see Kyle Wright. The more I see a Kyle Wright, the better I'll feel when we get to postseason. Let's see. Gene says, nice to clinch in Philly. What relievers would you take to postseason? Well, we talked about this earlier. I think Joe Jimenez, to me, is kind of out of it at this point after his appearance the other night. Dylan Lee, it's tough to say. To me, I think you take all your lefties, but it's tough to say. No Colin McHugh, not going there. I guess I could just show you the graphic again. This is what I got lined up. Notice McHugh's not on here, neither is Jimenez. I think this is right now where I'm at, and this is subject to change. This is not, this is what I think the postseason is going to be. No, this is where we are right now, what we have to lose, that kind of thing. I think this is where it could go. Now, what it could be is number 12, Kyle Wright, goes right over there under Bryce Elder, and he's your fifth starter. That is potentially, that could happen. From there, everybody moves down a peg. And Darius Vines is a reliever, and Tonkin stays, or whatever the case may be. There's freedom to move there, but when you give it a legitimate look at who our best relievers are, maybe Jesse Chavez makes it. Maybe, it's tough to say. In terms of who goes to the postseason, I can give you what I think, but it's really going to come down to what Brian Snicker thinks. We got a super chat. Jonathan Roberson, good friend of mine. He actually gave me the chair I'm sitting in, of all things. Roberson says, as you mentioned a little while ago, not having to wait till almost the end of the year to win the division will help the team not get burned out. Yeah, and a lot of folks just tend to move past that. Great, we won the division. Guys, it's such a big deal being done September 13th. Is it September? Yeah, September 13th. We haven't crossed midnight yet. September 13th. It's so great to know where you stack up in the postseason. Now, again, home field advantage, sure, but the Braves are going to be a 1 seed. We are pretty much there. We will see where it goes. We'll test it out, but that's all we can really do. Matthew asked a pretty good question. Tyler, have you heard anything about Nick Anderson? When is he expected back? Also, I agree. The Braves should give Kyle Wright at least 3 or 4 more starts this month to see what he's got. I definitely think they will. I definitely think if there is a project that they go up to on a list of priorities and go circle, it's Kyle Wright. I don't think they're overlooking Kyle Wright. They know who he is, what he can be at his best. He's the only 20-game winner last year. So, they know where he, could potentially help the team. Do I think he's going to start? Yes. I think if he makes it to the, any way he makes it to the pen, or any way he makes it into the postseason, I think he'll be satisfied based on the year he's had. But I think he definitely would be more comfortable coaching. In terms of Nick Anderson, That's the real question. And again, notice I didn't put him on the graphic. That is for a reason, because I genuinely don't know. Um, let's see. 9 hours ago, Sports Talk Atlanta put something out, and I hate to say take that with a grain of salt, but they're like me. They're not media necessarily, but they talked about it. Um, he's got a 3.06 ERA. He's on the 60-day IL with shoulder injury. He's eligible to return if he can be healthy, but does not appear to be imminent. Mark Bowman was quoted as saying, Nick Anderson is still rehabbing the shoulder ailment that has sidelined him since the All-Star break. He is a long shot postseason roster candidate. So that's a short way of telling you likely not. I hate to say it, trust me, because Nick Anderson would be one of my picks for sure headed to the postseason. That would be what I would actually want to happen. But yeah, Nick Anderson, not likely, according to Mark Bowman. Ryan Baker, do you think the Braves will win at least 102 games this year? Well, they're 96. What's their standings right now? 96 and 50. There. So 96 plus 50. Let's see. 6, 142, 162 minus 146. Notice the quick math. 12, 5. So they got 16 games left. They need 6 more. I think they can win 6 out of the next 16. Yeah, I think they can get 102. We'll see. Let's see. Hato Mato. Last year we chased the Mets down, and this year it's the Phillies. Well, we didn't chase anybody down. Maybe early in the season, but now it's just a matter of getting there. If we could fast forward on the time a little bit, we'll see. Robert wants to know, am I going to do any live play-by-play during the postseason? Well, usually, to be honest with you, I leave that to CeeLo. That's kind of his thing. Will I do live play-by-play? I don't know. And I mainly don't know because of where I don't know if I'll have to work. I don't know, I don't know my schedule for right now. If I can, I certainly will do something. Last year we brought Johnny Estrada in. Unfortunately, it was to lose against the Phillies. But he did play-by-play with me, and it did okay. I don't know if the numbers from people don't come to my channel for that kind of thing. So I don't know if it really makes sense to do that. That said, it's certainly possible. We'll see as time gets closer and what my schedule, if I'm off on that day, that kind of thing. If it's World Series Game 7, I'll probably be live on the channel at some point, I would assume. Tyler, this is Matthew asking, Tyler, what do you think about Nats in Strasburg? First they schedule a retirement celebration, then cancel it. Now we look forward to seeing him pitch in spring. He can't pitch. He can't even open a door. Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I kind of checked out on the whole Strasburg conversation. And I hate to say that, but, it's just a lot. I think it's unfortunate that they locked him up with such a long-term deal. I think you have to let him try, but at the same time, yeah. I'm glad we're not in that boat. I'll put it that way. Oren Griswold quoted me. I hope that if the Phillies hit a walk-off home run in the playoffs, that everyone gives them the silent treatment, quote, that belongs on a plaque. Yeah, I said it. I hope I hope they have no fun. No fun. Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. Let's see. On the go with CeeLo says Tonka truck. He's talking about Tonkin there. He says is okay, but he has also shown some signs of weakness. Yeah, everybody does though. I'm more confident in Tonkin if he was a one-inning guy, he'd probably be a little further down my list. I'm more confident in Tonkin primarily because he's a long inning guy. He can give you some length, which at some points, you need a guy for that. And maybe Jesse Chavez is that guy. I don't know. Maybe Darius Vines is that guy. But I think Tonkin belongs for that reason. Because if, let's say, we get up by 11 in a game, you don't want to put your best bullpen guys out there. You want to save them, right? And I think Tonkin could be of assistance in helping with that. let's see. A lot of you guys tuning in tonight. I might have to step out in a minute for a second, but let's see. Dan B, if you see the history, they won four World Series in 1914, 1957, 1995, 2021. It wasn't Atlanta at that time. You must have been having a conversation with somebody else. Lee is on the IL. Thank you for that. Scooter Puff. Yeah, I did see that. Sorry about that. In my head, he was still healthy. Hate that. Oh, I hate that. I'll fix that at some point. It won't be tonight. Corey Carter, Braves still have plenty to play for. Need to eliminate the Brewers, Dodgers, and the American League top seed. Yeah, like I said, I'm not saying they don't have stuff to play for. I think they're going to come in and keep their foot on the gas. But I also think, with situations like Rice-Sully Iglesias, right? Or, it's nice to know that when Riley got sick, I wasn't concerned, overly concerned about, what are we going to do today? It's nice that we're in mid to late September and we don't have to worry about, is everybody healthy? That was my point primarily. Elijah Smith, there's a lot of talk about Kyle Wright, but I do worry a little bit of how legitimate last year was for him. I know he's been hurt, but he has not been sharp at all and wasn't until last year. I would say this. I think Kyle Wright found a few things last year. Number one was his confidence. And the other thing, and I can tell you this because I've talked to the guy, in his early years, they wanted him to pitch certain ways. I can't speak to what those are. I don't know. But they finally said, all right, do what you want to do. And he pitched like he did at Vandy. And what do you know? He's just as good as when we recruited him, So I'm not saying that's the reason. I don't know. I mean, we've seen plenty of guys have a great year and then kind of fall off. Do I think that is going to happen with Kyle Wright? I certainly hope not. I don't believe it will. I definitely think the fact that he was a 20-game winner, I think says a lot about him. The fact that he's the only one says a lot about him. And I definitely think, the injury's legit. He's been out all year. We'll see. We'll see. Okay. I hope it was legitimate, but I worry that he may be a Folty-esque situation. Well, I hate to comment on that. Look, I love Mike Foltynewicz. I love who he is. I've interviewed him, and he is a super nice guy. He was to me. He had a rough go, those last few months, last year. I think he was a little bit of a head case. I think he got in his own head. I don't think Kyle Wright is built that way. And surrounded by the support system, the whatever you want to call it, the fact that there are so many great assets he can go to, the Charlie Mortons, he's not on an island. He's got a lot of people around him. I think he'll be back. If he can give us anything this year in the postseason, that's a plus based on where we've been this year. Vision says, Tyler, I think those are good choices on pitcher predictions, and I agree. Wish AA had gone after Hader or someone else. Even with our wins, Penn gave up too many runs at times. Not good for postseason. Yeah, Vision. That's kind of my thoughts on it, right? Like, the one issue we've had is late in games. We give up the game. Bryce Harper hit a game-tying 2-run homer the other night. That happens. But it's happened a little too much for me. And on any other team, I think we would have been more. Any other team, I think, would have been more susceptible to losing. Now, granted, that's credit to our offense. I think that could very well be the reason we win it all this year. But it's also could be, a sign for what's coming. And that I do worry about. Ken Ross says, you're still on time? I am still on. Congratulations to you and the Braves. Thanks for all the coverage. No, thank you guys. I do this because I love it. The fact that you guys show up to hear me ramble about baseball only makes it that much better. But really do appreciate you guys tuning in. We're not going to be on here too terribly much longer, so please do get your comments in. But more importantly, like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications so that you can be up to date on everything we got going on, everything the Braves got going on, and just anything that you guys want to talk about. Because if you tell me a topic you want to talk about, more than likely, I'll be willing to talk about Speaking of which, Hato Mato says, I think Kyle will pitch in the postseason. I do too, but I think he's got to prove himself over the next couple of weeks. Matthew, Tyler, when are we going to have time to have wrestling conversations anymore? You're too big now. No room for wrestling talk when you and the Braves are both blowing up at the same time. Yeah, I mean, I can't talk about pro wrestling at a time like this. That said, I think... where do I want to go with that? There's so many things I could talk about. I could talk about the bloodline. I could talk about the tribal chief. I could talk about... Half of you guys probably don't know what I'm talking about. I could talk about John Cena. I mean, well, you let me know what you want to talk about, and I'll give you my take on it. Leah's out for the season. Hate to hear that. I did not get an official word on that, and I have not had time to update the graphics, but I will certainly do that. I hate that. Oh, my gosh, I hate that. I was really looking forward to him because... Dylan Lee is one of the most underrated arms that we've had over the past few seasons. And some of you guys may disagree with me, but there's been so many times that guy quietly came out, gave you a solid inning, and, just walked back in the dugout. No concern whatsoever. And I hate that. A guy named Nick. Hey, Tyler, how's it going? How about the Braves? It's going pretty good, I'd say. The 6th consecutive division title. Only thing that'll be better than that is, of course, getting the best record in baseball, going on to the postseason, and doing what we all hope they'll do and win the World Series. Kid Ross says, can we sustain this decent bullpen? Strider did an awesome job saving this game and going 7. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right? It helps when your starters go 7 innings or if they go 6 innings. It definitely helps. I thought Kirby Yates was one that'll get overlooked. For me, Kirby Yates coming out and just giving us another look and another option. I'm not saying Kirby Yates is going to be closing games in the postseason. I'm just saying it's another option to turn to in a sticky situation. I think Kirby Yates is best with a clean inning, and that's anybody. But I really think his stats show that he's much better with a clean inning. That's just my take. Elijah Smith, you're going to be more into your FSU Seminoles this year. I know you previously said you don't watch much football. That is a lie. I do watch football. But when they look this good, how much are you paying them attention? First off, I do watch a lot of football. I may not have watched a lot of Florida State football over the past few years, for good reason. I'll put it to you this way. I mean, look, when you said I don't watch a lot of football, I was at the national championship game in California. I work in football, so I'm covering Georgia UAB in 2 weeks. So I live in football a lot of the time. That said, Florida State has been very tough to watch over the past few. I think we're all aware. The Jimbo Fisher send-off, the Taggart years, bringing in Mike Norvell finally. I think we are back to where we need to be. If you really want to talk football, I'll be honest with you, I'm not an expert on it. Like I consider myself to be in baseball. But the guy to follow is Josh Pate. He's the guy that mentored me. He's from where I'm from. We go back since I was about 17. But he's the guy to follow for that kind of conversation. However, I'll tell you this. I texted him, and if you don't know who Josh Pate is, you're missing out. But I texted him the other day after we beat LSU, and I just said, all caps, we back. Okay? Just saying, I think we're back. I came this close. I have a Deion Sanders Florida State jersey in that closet right over there. I came that close to busting that out and wearing it the following Monday because Colorado won, and so did Florida State. I'm definitely paying more attention. I'm watching every game that I can. Of course, Braves come first, no doubt about that. But make no mistake, I am a football fan. That is more of my hobby than I consider this to be more of my job. But I definitely watch football. I watch basketball. I watch all things sports. But I ultimately, I would definitely say that, yeah, we're back. I would just say we're back. And I know I'm going to, look, I'm going to get grief from people. It's fine. I don't care. I've been through so much worse these past few years. You cannot hurt me when it comes to Florida State. And, you know, some people are like, oh, you don't watch every game? Then you're not a fan. Look, here's the thing. I am a Florida State fan. If I wasn't a Florida State fan for the past 5 years, I probably wouldn't have admitted that I'm a Florida State fan. That said, now is my time to shine. That's what I was saying. Now is my time. No, I genuinely have thought since Mike Norvell got there that he would be the guy to turn it around. I didn't know how long. I knew it would take a few years. He is the guy that I thought would turn it around. In my old set, before this room was here and, before this was built, I had football helmets that lined up behind me, and this is probably what you're referring to. One of them was a Florida State helmet. One of them was an Auburn helmet. One of them was an Alabama helmet. They were all signed by various head coaches, one being Nick Saban, one being Pat Dye, and one being Bobby Bowden. Two of those have something in common. I've interviewed two of them, Pat Dye and Bobby Bowden. And I will tell you, the reason I am a Florida State fan, honestly, is because I was raised to be. My dad's a Florida State fan because of Bobby Bowden. And I got to interview him. I got to introduce my dad to Bobby Bowden. I will forever be a Florida State fan. That said, it is very nice to see them back in front and center. Matthew, okay. I want to talk about Haku and all the fear he puts in other wrestlers, even off the mat. Yeah, I mean, it's legendary. I don't have any stories for you. I like listening to him. The fact that he rips guys' eyeballs out, stuff like that. I mean, it's just insane. Phillips says, Freed, Strider, Morton, Elder. This is our playoff rotation, most likely. Sorry if I answered already, as I joined late. I would say so. I would say Freed, Strider, Morton, and Elder. That's likely your playoff rotation. You could potentially add Kyle Wright if, and I say this with a big if, he's healthy. But yeah, that would be who I would say, because really in the postseason you only need 4. You're talking 5-game series, 7-game series. You really only need 4. That would be my take on it. Elijah Smith, who is your favorite wrestler of all time? Undoubtedly. It's not even close. I have his title in my work office. Stone Cold Steve Austin. No, there's no one that compares. Stone Cold Steve Austin. I will tell you I like John Cena, and that's probably a hot take. Sorry, I grew up during the John Cena, phase. That he's one of the greatest of his. I mean, he's the greatest of his generation. Like Randy Orton. And that's not the guys that are wrestling now, but they're the guys of my generation. But all time, the stuff I actually go back and watch, undoubtedly Stone Cold Steve Austin. I've met Ric Flair. I've met Mr. Wrestling number 2, interviewed him. Met Mass Superstar. Stone Cold Steve Austin's as good as it gets for me. And that's not a hot take. John Cena's probably more of a hot take. But yeah, Stone Cold without a doubt. Let's see. Braves are going to have to get a closer this winter, Hader or Kimbrel or someone else, a legit closer. I don't know that Kimbrel wants to come back to the Braves. I think it would help if Freddie was still on the team, which I know puts a bad taste in all your mouths. But because I know Freddie was trying to recruit him at one point. Hader would be my pick, but what do I know? Hato Mato, still feel bad for the WWE losing Bray Wyatt so young. Man, we've gotten into a full wrestling conversation. You hate to see Bray Wyatt pass. I feel like I watched his whole career, and it's just such a shame to see anybody that young go and to see. I mean, and he was right there on the just ready to go off the edge of being a star. And I mean, not to say he wasn't, he certainly was, but it just felt like he was about to hit that real peak of being a regular title holder. That he had the mystique, he had the Undertaker, handing off the torch and all that. It's unfortunate. And of course you hate it for his family, you hate it for the folks that knew him. I know fans feel like they know him, but it's different when you're that close as a coworker, as a, that kind of thing. It's just different. So yeah, you hated to see that. Trinity, what's up, Tyler? Just came in. What should we do about Soroka? I love him, but I think it's time to cut bait or trade him and get as much as we can in the offseason. Man, that's kind of brutal. I'm just kidding. No, I get where you're coming from. I mean, I really do. I of course, root for this guy as much as possible. I really like Michael Soroka. I'm going to tell you no. I don't think we trade him. And because, frankly, I don't think we get very much for him. And that might sound kind of brutal in itself, but I mean, what does he have that another team wants at the moment? Of course the potential's there, but what are you really going to get for him? You might get an infielder, depth piece, maybe. I think he's got more upside, to keep because you're not paying him very much. If we were paying him a ton of money, yeah, I think you'd try to trade him, but we're not. We're paying him right now to recover. And, that might not be ideal, but it's certainly better than just cutting bait and, oh, okay, well, we're giving up on you. And this organization has shown that they do not plan to give up on Michael Soroka anytime soon. And frankly, neither will I. So he's got, to me, a whole offseason to recover. I hope he does, and, we'll go from there. Let's see. Elijah Smith. Pate is awesome. He's talking about Josh Pate, late kick with Josh Pate. Go check that out. I love seeing his and Klatt shows and seeing the different perspectives. Look, I will tell you, Josh, I don't know how many viewers on here watch Josh Pate's show. I know Josh more than I'd want to, probably. He's an interesting cat. He's just different. I don't know how to put. I love him for it, but he's built different. I mean, he is everything. Everything he is on his show is who he is. There is no fakeness about it. There is no being a character. That is who he is. And I try to be myself on here. A lot of what I do is not to say inspired by it, but I think just a product of working with him. And I used to direct that show back when it was a local product. Now it's done gone national, and that's great. But I probably carry some sort of characteristics that he does, and that's a compliment to him, and I hope a compliment to me. Let's see. Tyler Haku ripped guys' eyeballs out, but he's still a nice guy. True or false? I would say true. Ken Ross, Tyler, that's what's up. Stone Cold was the most dedicated WWE superstar of all time. I think, one guy I didn't mention was LA Knight. I really like what he's doing right now. Stone Cold, to me, just personifies, what wrestling is. There's Hulk Hogan. I'm not going to say I don't like Hulk Hogan, but he's Hulk Hogan. I think his wrestling looked kind of fake. And I think a lot of guys' wrestling kind of looks fake. Stone Cold, it didn't look fake, probably because it wasn't. We'll see. Guy named Nick, as a South Carolina Gamecock fan, I know mediocrity all too well. Well, you better cool it, Nick, because I was there. I was at Sanford Stadium in 2019. If you look up the video of the celebration after Rodrigo missed the field goal against South Carolina, I was under the goalpost. I am in the celebration. I was a little skinnier. You can see me. I'm in a red shirt. I kept the vest. You know what? No, I'm not going to go get it. But I kept the vest. It's in that closet because that was one of the craziest things I'd ever seen. So all I'm telling you is anything can happen. Of course, Georgia plays South Carolina this week. So my boss is a Georgia fan, and he was deciding who was going where. And I told him, I was like, Jack, if you're a Georgia fan, I wouldn't send me to the Georgia-South Carolina game because last time I went to that game, Georgia lost. He goes, what game was that? And I told him 2019. He goes, nope, you're not going. And he's going to that game, I think. But yeah, that was a weird day. Gosh, that was a weird day. Let's see. Jonathan Roberson. Oh, you deleted your message, Jonathan? Really? Like, I'm not going to. Okay. Elijah. This is funny. Elijah Smith asks. Let me rephrase that. Elijah Smith asks, is Josh Pate really as good at ping pong as his social media would let on? This is what I will tell you. I have never played Pate in ping pong. I don't know how I would stack up against Pate in ping pong. What I do know, and I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but I'm going to say it, is back when he was a sports anchor in Columbus, where I used to work, WLTZ, NBC station, they hid a ping pong table in, I guess, what you would call the equipment room, garage area. They hid it under like a curtain, okay, so that their boss, our boss, wouldn't see it. And after shows, when everybody was gone, a ping pong table would just get wheeled out. This is before my time getting there. It's only stories I've heard. It would just get wheeled out, and they'd play ping pong, and they'd play all night long. I've heard legendary stories. I have heard that they went until 3 in the morning. And I've heard all kinds of things. So am I telling you that Pate is as good as his social media would let on? I don't know. But what I can tell you is the dedication is certainly there. That I can tell you for sure. Matthew Brittingham. Tyler, Hulk Hogan took part in the touch of death. I will never forgive him for that. To be fair, he has said he will never forgive himself. Yeah, it's pretty terrible. WCW was quite a weird show back in the day. It had some great things, but Lord, it had some terrible stuff. We have gone full WWE in this chat. We are a Braves channel, everybody. If you just tuned in, we are a Braves channel. I promise. This just happens. Ashley Simmons, thank you for cutting it back. I appreciate it. Go Braves, NL East champs again. Jonathan Roberson, sorry. LOL. Kimbrel told someone in the Twitter chat he hates Atlanta. So, well, there you go. Thanks for ruining everybody's night, Jonathan. Apparently, Kimbrel told someone in the Twitter chat that he hates the Braves and hates Atlanta. So, we're just going to sip it on that. Appreciate that, Jonathan. I'll just go get rid of all my Craig Kimbrel memorabilia. I'm just kidding. Well, look, I mean, I don't like Atlanta traffic. You know, there is that. But, and he texted me? Oh, he sent it to me. Ooh, wow. Ooh. Yeah, I'm not going to read that one. I'm not going to read that one, Jonathan. Appreciate the text, but I'm not going to read it. On that note, everybody, we're probably going to wrap it up here in just a second. So do me a favor. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications so that you can stay up to date with everything going on here at On Deck. And, of course, with your National League East 6-time consecutive champions, the Atlanta Braves. And as we move into the postseason, we're only going to have more content. So please, again, like the video, subscribe to the channel. We are so close to 5,000 subs. And hey, since you guys have stayed with me till almost 11 o'clock, do me another favor. Share this. Tell your friends to subscribe. Tell them to be a part of the community. We want them here. And of course, you can also go follow me on social media over here at Tyler Edmond TV. And of course, don't forget to go shop On Deck. We have a brand new shirt for all you guys out there that are mods, for all you guys out there that are a part of us all the time. You know that I call everybody that is in the studio with me unpaid intern because I get them to do whatever I want them to do. We have a shirt for that now. Go check out the On Deck shop. It's pretty funny. It's got the On Deck logo and it just says unpaid intern underneath it. You could be an On Deck unpaid intern if you want to be. All you got to do is go buy a shirt. With that said, everybody, thank you again. And I really do appreciate you tuning in. We'll see you next time right here at On Deck.
Baseball fans, make sure you like and share this video and subscribe to this channel. As always, thank you for your support. Baseball fans, make sure you like and share this video and subscribe to this channel. As always, thank you for your support.